So hi, everybody. I'm Terry Lupberger, and I'm a Senior Director with Altus Growth Partners and the Institute of Generative Leadership. And we're sponsoring the Women in Technology event coming up on June 15th, the Tech Tank. And we want to welcome you to the event.
Hi, I'm JanIrene Miller. I'm also a senior partner with Altus Growth Partners and a senior coach with the Institute for Generative Leadership. I'm delighted to be supporting the WIT organization with this event, as I had been a member for 4 years while I lived in the Washington, D.C. area. So welcome, everybody, and we're really looking forward to this event. Terry and I are going to talk a little bit about our experience in as women in technology and what we're hopeful for the organization.
Yeah, great. So, JanIrene, you have a very long and great history in technology. So I'd love to hear and have our audience hear a little bit about your experience and also the challenges that you faced.
Oh, absolutely. So, so I began, I guess, in my master's degree in business, where I studied programming and systems analysis. And so I immediately entered into the field of engineering in discrete manufacturing, and over the years grew from being a programmer and an analyst, and then I really had to choose, am I going to be a technology expert, or what am I going to do with this path forward? So, recognizing over time what I wanted to do, I progressed into project management and into marketing management and into being a director and having profit and loss responsibility. And having a whole lot of fun all over the world, working with amazing people in science and technology. And some of the challenges that I had, let's see, there became a point where I had to decide if I was really going to focus my learning on science and technology, or whether I wanted to progress to have influence with teams that were most likely smarter and younger than I was at the time. And so I made that move. And then I realized that if I was going to make that move, I had a whole different path of learning that I needed to pursue. That was about projects all over the world with different kinds of cultures and different kinds of problems. And so it really directed my path of learning. And also, then it was like, how do I influence how people are cared for in these organizations? That became a much different focus for me and a very different learning path. But I kept learning and became a coach and studied performance management and leadership, and was able to move into practices that really impacted my opportunities for creating real value for the organization and getting a lot more requests for more work. But I think the challenges were those like power and politics. Where's the money going? How does what I do impact the bottom line? Those kinds of things, how to navigate in those situations.
Yeah. And a question that comes up for me is when you said, I had to learn something new, right? Because I'm assuming it was not the technical pieces you were learning.
No, the thing I learned there was always to be able to make the assessment of who the best technical people were, and then listening to them and bringing them together to make assessments about how to navigate. So really the learning that I was doing was about making assessments of other people's competencies, listening to the market forces that we were competing against and how to make assessments of risk, how to coordinate very diverse teams. So at one point, for instance, we had a project where we had people working in several countries on the same project. What were the processes to make sure that we all delivered and kept the customers satisfied? Just leading a team, that was huge for me. Leading and growing a team, which actually became really the most fun for me. And then I remember when I really moved into the phase of having to negotiate for my budgets and being responsible for profit and loss, and, you know, and the level of learning that I had to do there just to keep being deeply connected to whether the decisions that I was making and that the team was able to make were actually going to financially be viable for the company. So that was all new learning for me.
Wow. Wow.
So Terry, I know you've had quite a number of years also in the technology field. Give us a little background about that.
You and I were joking earlier. I think I'm probably one of the first women to ever get a degree in computer science. That's how long ago that was. So I went to George Mason, for those of you in the DC area, and got a degree in business. And then I was like, okay, there's something else. So then I went over to Northern Virginia Community College and got a degree in computer science. And that's when we were feeding the cards through the machine. So that really dates me. But both of those experiences gave me a really great entryway into my my first career that actually lasted for about 15 years. I was a financial systems analyst over at the Department of Treasury, and worked on a number of projects, because at that time, now that computing was really coming on the scene, and we had a number of financial systems, and I'm not kidding, where we still used pen and paper to keep records on index cards. And so we were automating quite a few of those systems. And I got really good because I had the technical background and the training, and I communicated well with the end users. So my job was to sort of translate what the users wanted in a system and needed in a system, and could then go communicate that with the technical people, who I have to say at that time were all men. You know, there were none. So, so I did that fascinating experience. Lots of scars, lots of scars from things I didn't do so well, and ended up leaving there after about 15 years and starting a consulting company, where I actually taught a program called Consulting Skills for Technical Professionals, because what was missing at the time was the ability to communicate. You know, not in the jargon, not in that paradigm, but really to connect with the people that that they were serving. And so I was teaching those skills. So that's sort of the early background. And you know, ever since I've been a coach for 20 years now, and coach quite a few people in the you know, with technical backgrounds who want to move up in the organization.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Which makes me think about the Women in Technology organization, and what I thought was so valuable about it. When I joined the organization, I was new in the Washington, D.C. community, and I wanted to meet women that were taking on roles in technology companies. And each of our meetings was being held then at a different company, and the women would share with each other, here's the environment for working in our company, here are the possibilities, and so forth. And they had a mentoring program, which I mentored in. And I thought it was a great opportunity. And, you know, the interesting thing was that in my career and in this organization, it wasn't about women versus men. It was about this history of being a woman and how to bring yourself forward in the organization in a, you know, in a supported way. And what difference did it make? And so this is actually fascinating. There were times in my history where I would be the only woman in a room of 200 men, or presenting to men. But I never saw that as a barrier to participating. As long as I was able to add value in the organization, I was never not granted opportunities. And I actually think that's really the spirit of women in technology when I was there. And that's, you know, part of why we really want to partner and align and support women in technology. And in this particular event, the Tech Tank event, where women are coming to share experiences, learn from people about the next opportunity, whether it be in hiring your next best person on your team, or how to make the next jump in your investments. You know, it's a learning and sharing organization, which I would
add what they need to learn as well to take their career to the next level? You know, what do I need to learn to be that leader that I want to be in the organization?
True. Absolutely. And so, Terry, one of the things I'm interested in you sharing with the WIT folks and with those who are coming to the event, what is it that you're finding in your research and what you've learned about what happens in an organization when we have many women in roles, sharing their technology expertise, their leadership? What's going on out there in that?
Yeah. Well, I pulled some stats just for this call because I've been doing quite a lot of research, and just a couple that I wanted to share is there was one study done in February that found that companies where women held 30% of the top leadership roles earned 15% more on average than their competitors. And you know, the studies just keep proving that the more women that we have in the C-suite, in senior leadership positions, on the boards, the companies thrive. They make more money. They do better.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and another one, this was a McKinsey study, said that European firms with the highest proportion of women in power saw their stocks climb 64% compared to 47% for the control group. I mean, that's significant.
Yeah, that's really
so we know that having women, you know, leaders works. We know that intuitively, statistically, we know that.
Yeah, I think about my career. I had one woman who was having a boss that's a woman, and it was awesome. I mean, she was an advocate for my career. She got all the barriers out of the way for me to move projects forward, and it was great. It was just a really positive experience. So yeah. About history.
That's great, and can be rare at times. You know, one of the things that I consistently hear from women in companies is how, well, let me put it this way, how we could do a better job supporting each other instead of competing with each other, but really supporting each other.
Right. Right. Well, this is an opportunity for all of us to be together and share
Exactly.
our challenges, our learning, and our tips for each other, and help move each other forward the next step. And also encouraging the younger girls and women who are moving into careers that, you know, it's fun. It's not intimidating. Be a scientist. Be an engineer. Determine whether you're going to be an individual contributor scientist or a manager leader. It's fun, and we definitely have a place in the game. So
yeah, right. And it's also about learning how do you come to your choice, right? Instead of listening to what everybody else says you should want, right? So how do you come to your own choice for what's right for you? And then if you are stepping into more and more responsibility of leadership and management, then what do you need to learn to be able to do that?
Absolutely. I have never found that if someone is competent and serious learning, that they wouldn't be given opportunities. And it's really about making that assessment about what those competencies are. Are those skills of inviting people into relationships? Are those skills of navigating power and politics? Are those skills of coaching your own team? Discerning whose talents and gifts are best directed towards certain projects, how to help them in their careers and build loyalty with your teams. There's lots of different competencies that help you manifest that path forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I could bring in the article, you know, on soft skills, because one of my pet peeves has been that all those things that you just mentioned, we have relegated to those are soft skills.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I think they're the hardest thing there is to do, right? To learn those things.
Oh yeah, I will guarantee you that because you're brilliant in technology, it does not guarantee you a place at the table of leadership, of influencing the way your projects are done, who they're done with, or what markets you enter into. It doesn't guarantee you a seat at that table.
Right.
But it is absolutely essential to understanding the opportunities in the marketplace and the designs that take care of the things that we care about to provide a quality of life. So there's a number of skills aside from technology that allow you to enter into those conversations and build the level of trust that you need to excel in your career and make a difference in your community. So we're excited to be with you at the event. We hope you come and take full advantage.
Full advantage, yeah.
Of our presence there and all the other leaders who will be there at this event, who are there to connect with you, support you, and have fun.
Inspire you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Terrific.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, JanIrene.
You bet. Thank you, Terry.